we're going to jump into our seeding predictions for the East and the West based on the first couple of weeks of the season, how we think all the different teams are looking, and yeah, who we think will play well and who we think will fall off and inevitably start tanking. All right, so we'll start with the East, I guess, because they're trash.
Sure.
All right, you want to start off with 15th in the East?
All right. Number one team, Boston. I've gone with Boston. They're a good team.
Wait, you're starting with one?
Yeah. Oh, you want to start with 8? All right. We'll start bottom up. I didn't do playing games in this list. So, 9th seed, you can fuck yourself. That's a stupid idea. Just make it in the normal way, you peasants. All right. I've gone with Atlanta at 8.
Okay.
I think Trae Young, hopefully, can improve defensively. I haven't watched many. Who watches Atlanta games nowadays? But I think that hopefully his defense improves. I think they've got good pieces there. Clint Capella is a good player. I don't think did he play it all last year? Or was it just...
He played it on Houston at the start of the year, I think. And then...
Yeah, I don't think he played for the Hawks last year. So that's a really big defensive addition for them. They needed that. I think they're young players, if they can continue to grow. Cam Reddish, DeAndre Hunter. So and depends on John Collins' trade, because there has been rumors of John Collins and if he's going to be traded or not. I hope for the Hawks' sake that they don't trade him. I think he's a really good young player that works really well with Trae because his ability to finish lobs, he can stretch the floor as well. I think he's a good player. 7, I've gone Indiana. It's a bit lower than last year. I think they were the 5th seed last year. They're just so underwhelming. Like, in 2K terms, how many 82s can you have on the same team? Like, it's just no star players. Sabonis is a really good player. He was all-star, I'm pretty sure, last year or a year ago.
Yeah.
But I don't think they have the ability to win a playoff series. I just have zero faith in their ability to win a playoff. Victor Oladipo, it's really sad. You know, when he first came to Indiana, averaged like 23 a game. Really looked promising. Got really bad injuries. And I put them a bit lower. Toronto, I put 6. Now, they've started off abysmal. Absolutely abysmal.
Yeah.
But I still have faith in them. I think they've got a really good head coach. Pascal, I think he's kind of been figured out a bit. I think he's got a couple moves that he uses in the post, but I still think he's a good player.
He's a B-Tech Giannis.
Basically. But Kyle Lowry, Fred on his new contract, I think they'll come through. Now, I don't think they'll be as high as they were last year, but I think they've still got good enough pieces. OG came back. I just think their pieces are too good to say no to in terms of playoff. 5, I've got Miami. And I know that's not going to make you happy with your boy, Jimmy. And I know you love Jimmy. It's your buddy. But again, I think it was a bit of a fluke, to be honest, last year. I don't think they're that good. I'm going to be honest. That's going to controversial. But Miami are just not... They've got Jimmy, really good piece. They lost Jay Crowder, which I thought was a really good contributor for them in the playoffs last year. I put them 5. Simply, and it's nothing against Miami. I think they're a really good team, but I think the teams above them are a lot better than them, like far and above. Well, not far and above, but they're better than them. 4, I've gone Brooklyn. Now, I think KD, obviously coming back from injury, I think they'll withhold him a bit. They haven't started off great. I think that maybe they've got an even record right now. I think they're 4-4 or something like that. I think they're a good team. I think they're a really good team. You saw them, their first game. They blitzed the Warriors. I mean, they looked unbelievable that game. I think offensively, they've got the potential to beat anybody. But I'm going to put them 4 because I don't think they'll take the regular season that seriously. I think playoffs, they'll be like the Clippers last year. They'll kind of rest KD a bit, rest Kyrie a bit to make sure that they're full fitness for the playoffs. Now, 3 have gone Bucks. Now, they're usually a lock for the number 1 seed in the East. I don't know. I think Drew Holiday is a really good addition, even though they gave up stupid amount of value for him. I mean, just unbelievable value for Drew Holiday, even though he's a really good contributor for them. So I think they'll be good, but I think what I've seen from Boston and Philly has really impressed me. So 2, I've gone Philly. Like I said before, I think Doc Rivers, although I hate him as a playoff coach, I think regular season coach, he's absolutely fine. You see him win games for the Clippers regular season. He's always around that mid-50s game mark. So I think he'll be a good coach. So I think he'll be second. Boston first. I don't know what I think about Brad Stevens. I think he's kind of overrated, to be honest. I mean, Brad, all he does is do great in the regular season, get all this hype from the media, and then he just does nothing I don't know what happens to his teams in the playoffs. I do think they'll get the first seed though, because I think Tatum will be a new man. I think he'll improve even more. I think they've got Jaylen Brown, who's looked excellent so far.
Mm-hmm.
Tristan Thompson, I thought, was a great addition. All they had was Tice, whatever that is. Tice.
They
What a
still
great
got
player
him.
that is. But I think Thompson will really help them with rebounding because they've got smaller players. I think they're I think they're a really good team, and I think they'll be the first in the East.
Okay. Well, believe it or not, my list is very similar. In fact, we have
Really?
the exact same 8 teams, just slightly
Really?
different order. So
I mean, yeah, but that's the East, though. The East is the most.
yeah,
It's like
yeah.
there's
I mean, I was
between.
tempted to put the Wizards or the Magic in, but
Yeah, I did think about the Magic, but
yeah,
I think they a couple of years ago they started this well, and then they were just awful.
yeah,
So I think the Magic again, they're just if we're referring to 2K, they're a bunch of 78 overalls. I just think
yeah.
that they're not good enough to beat Atlanta.
Okay. So all right. So in the 8th spot, I also have Atlanta.
Yep.
I think this is a year where they're just developing every year. I mean, Trey Young, John Collins, if he stays, Reddish and Hunter. I think that's a great young core to build around. I think they're not going to have the experience to be able to do much in terms of getting up to a higher seed or winning a series. But I think this year's just about getting their players some playoff experience and then, I guess, improving every year. At number 7, I went for Toronto.
Yeah.
This is basically blind faith because they look like dog shit right now.
Yeah.
I mean, they've done it before, so I'm just saying, all right, you can do it again. I think they've started too slowly to get a high seed, so I'll just put them sneaking in at 7. I think if they don't make the playoffs, I think Lowry is going to be traded. Even if they're like looking like they're not going to halfway through the year, I think he's gone.
Bold.
Yes, Siakam, I'm not sold on at all, especially based on his playoff performance last year. Van Vliet's a good player. I mean, they need OG to really develop because they're kind of top heavy. They don't have much depth. But yeah, I think they'll get the 7th seed and then get bounced by whoever's they're playing. All right, at 6, I went for Indiana. So basically, we just swapped. Oh, shit, we'll edit that out. We got the best editing on YouTube. Don't worry. Leave.
Talking about basketball. Shut up.
Leave, Jasmine. All right, so number 6, I went for Indiana. I think they just, as you said, they have a whole bunch of just decent players. No superstars, but they are pretty deep. I think the TJ Warren injury will hurt them. If he comes back and plays well, I think they'll be a strong team. But yeah, I just can't see them winning a playoff series like similar to last year where they got bounced by Miami. I think they'll be competitive in most games, but they don't have the star power to get over the line for me. In 5th place, this will surprise you, but I've also got Miami.
There you go. Two like minds.
Even though Jimmy Butler is the second best player in the league, I think he doesn't care about the regular season at all. So he doesn't care where he is as long as he's in the middle and in the playoffs. They still have a very good team with Hero, Robinson, Bam, Iggy, Dragic, who you pick for 6 man. They have a very strong team, and I think that with Spoelstra and the Heat culture, they're made for the playoffs. Like Jimmy goes from just a fringe all-star player to a MVP caliber player in the playoffs. Like it's ridiculous. I don't know why he doesn't try more in the regular season because
I just don't think he gives a shit, to be honest.
he clearly doesn't.
He literally couldn't care less about the regular season.
Yeah, it's a shame because I like watching him score 40, but whatever. We'll wait till the playoffs. All All right, number 4, I also have Brooklyn. I think they're another team that doesn't really care about the regular season. That KD and Kyrie know how to get it done in the playoffs. That's what they're doing. They're just trying to stay healthy until the postseason with enough wins to get in the top 4, essentially. It'll be interesting to see how Steve Nash goes as the year plays out. I mean, it'll be interesting what he does with the rotation. I know they've been changing it up a lot recently. Just put Allen in the starting lineup, took Harris out. But yeah, I think they have the pieces. Dinwiddie is a loss, but I think they still have the pieces to be a threat in the East. Third, I put Boston at third. I think that they're a very good team, but they're a very top-heavy team. Like, I know Tatum is looking very good. Brown maybe is even looking even better than Tatum right now. He's taken a step clearly. Kemba is a health concern, but is good when he's on. And then Tristan Thompson. So they have a very strong core, but they don't have any depth for me, like any good players off the bench, unless Marcus Smart's coming off the bench. But I think the loss of Hayward, obviously, my guy, will be very big, and
Wow,
they
what a
will be.
player. I mean, he did drop 40 today, but
He
I was
dropped 40 today. He's
bullshit.
an all-star this year. He's an all-star this year.
He's an all-star, yeah, sure he is.
Um, yeah, so I think I don't know. I think they'll struggle in the playoffs because they just don't have enough depth. But I think they have the star power to win a lot of regular season games. So I've got them at third. So then at second, I have Milwaukee. I think that they're a great regular season team. I think that they'll win a lot of games. I mean, Giannis and Middleton will win you a lot of games. Holiday's a great addition. But yeah, I mean, I couldn't care less about where they finish. They're going to do the same thing in the playoffs they do every year. And then I have Philly at number 1. I mean, that's a pretty big jump from Philly. I think they finished like 6th last year or 7th or something. But I don't know. I just think they have a really good team. They've started the season well, which is basically why I put them there. I would not have put them there before the start of the season. But like they have Simmons and Embiid, 2 of the best young players in the league. Doc Rivers will hopefully just fucking tell Simmons to shoot some more shots and stop being a bitch.
I mean, he doesn't. Does he practice? Do we know if he practices?
I mean, there's videos out there of him making threes, but like,
I mean,
my
much
guy,
love.
shoot the fucking ball, man. It's not that hard.
Much love, fellow Australian. You know, we love him. He's our best player by a country mile. But
Yeah.
he averaged 17 points a game his rookie year. He's averaging 15 a game this year, 5 years later. I just think he had this massive rookie season. I think his expectations for his career went to LeBron level. And I think what he is, a taller Jason Kidd. I think
He's a jump shot away from being LeBron James, all right?
Yeah, yeah, sure he is. But I think that he's definitely he's definitely Jason Kidd. I mean, Jason Kidd couldn't shoot until Mavericks days, basically. So I think that Ben Simmons is just average. He's just not average. Okay, I want to rephrase that. That's not average. But he's just borderline all-star level. I think he'll help the Sixers, especially with Tobias Harris, but if he improves and gels better with that Sixers core. But I think that Ben needs to shoot the ball. He needs to go into practice, get that shooting machine, whatever the fuck that's called, and just shoot. Just shoot.
Mate, you don't think he's doing that?
Does it seem like he's shooting?
I think he does. I think he's fucked in the head. Like, he has a mental problem where he just is scared of shooting.
There's a mental problem. Markelle Fultz was a mental problem where and
Fultz got through it, but like,
but he had a minor shoulder injury, and it just he had complete mistrust in his shoulder. Ben Simmons has had complete mistrust since he was in high school, and he just has just no injury to his. I don't know. Has he an injury to his shoulder? I don't know, but I think that he just needs to shoot more in practice because Brook Lopez is a prime example. In Brooklyn, he back to the basket, 20 and 10, was a terrible defender. He has completely evolved his game in Milwaukee, shooting threes. He's not shooting that efficiently at the moment, but he can still shoot threes at a high clip. I mean, is he shooting like 4 or 5 a game? Plus, he's turned into a great defensive center. You've got to evolve in today's NBA. And he's got the natural talent of better. He's got better natural talent than anybody in the NBA. Well, 99% of players in the NBA. He's an unbelievable player when he wants to be, and he needs to want to be. I don't know. I don't see that desire from him. I see it from Joel. I see him, even though he shoots way too many jumpers, I see the desire from Joel, but I don't see it from Ben. And he needs to show that he can shoot to help the team. It's because it's too clogged last year. Al Horford, what GM thought it was a good idea to let go of Jimmy Butler and bring in Al Horford?
The Sixers won.
What kind of... No. I mean,
Yeah, they had to let go of Butler because they paid Tobias and they couldn't pay Jimmy as well.
No, but they paid Al Horford that same season. They paid him 120 million. So they said, you know what, let's turn the center into power forward in Al Horford. Let's play Joel Embiid at the other center. And then let's play a point guard. They can't shoot, so all he can do is drive into the two centers that have got in the paint. Tobias Harris, all he can do is shoot jump shots because the whole lane's clogged with 3 players. I mean, it was a complete nightmare last year. And I do think Doc will sort that out to some.
Yeah, I think they've got the roster right this year. Like, Seth Curry is very underrated.
Yeah,
probably
that helps.
Top 5 shooter in the league. Shake Milton is a great 6-man. He can score off the bench. I mean, Danny Green is like whatever. If he's shooting, he's shooting. I don't know.
Yeah. So what is Danny Green? I don't know.
But yeah, he's got that tattoo on his elbow, that target. So he's obviously a sharpshooter.
Yeah, or a target for every Laker fan out there because he's that ass for the Lakers.
Yeah. I forgot they got Dwight as well. The best backup center in the league. Dwight Howard.
All right.
Oh.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Philly will be number 1. So yeah, we move on to the West. Yeah.
West. All right. I've left a team out there. Okay. That is a bit of a surprise, a bit of cuckoo land.
I mean, like, there is a lot of teams in the West that are good, so someone has to miss out.
Left the team out that I think you will not like. Okay. And Charles Barkley especially might not like it.
Oh.
With that, did he put $100,000 on them to make it, which was ridiculous?
Oh yeah. So yeah.
So 8, I've gone the Pelicans. I think Alvin Gentry was. I don't know how he kept his job as a head coach in the league. The Pelicans, they were incompetent when he was a coach. I do think they'll be better this year. I think, obviously, they've got a lot of young players, so naturally they're going to develop and jump up. And I think Eric Bledsoe, obviously not as good as Drew Holiday, but he brings a defensive and toughness that Drew Holiday had. So if Brandon Ingram can continue that step up, if Lonzo, the number 2
pick, looking good.
He's looking good, but it's early. I have not that much faith in him. My theory is he was offered a deal by the Pelicans, but he rejected it because he wanted more money. But I'm not too sure. But I put them 8 because I feel like they'll sneak in. They'll probably beat a play-in team like the team I missed out. But I think they'll make it, finally. 7, I've gone Houston. I've got Houston at 7. Now, I think they're going to drop off massively. I think Harden, that feud in Houston is just not going to work. I think as much as I put him as my MVP, as a potential MVP, I do think the chemistry issues will be out of this world bad. I mean, DeMarcus Cousins, problem. James Harden, problem. John Wall, problem. Your 3 best players are historically problems in locker rooms. I don't know if they can gel together, even though maybe on the court they might gel together because their games are pretty complementary of each other. I don't know if they can gel as a team. Now, I do like the addition of Christian Wood. I think he does bring really good scoring and length and spacing the floor for DeMarcus to work in the post like he did in Sacramento days. But I put them at 7. I still think they'll make the playoffs. But I think the feud with Harden in the front office will go on all year. So I put them at 7. 6, I've gone Utah. Now, I think Utah are a good team, but they're very similar to Indiana in my point. Even though Donovan Mitchell is better than probably Sabonis, even though they're different positions, I think he's more of a star than Sabonis. I think we can all agree on that. Yeah. But I do think they're just a bit average. They don't have a guy that they can go to other than Mitchell that can get them a bucket.
Well,
Like the Clippers.
Not Jingles.
Did you call Joe Ingles?
Jingles, best ISO scorer in the league.
My nan moves faster than Joe Ingles. The most unathletic player I've ever seen play in the National Basketball Association. Honestly.
He's the go-to.
I don't know how he gets the shots off. I don't know how he just walks in slow motion, does a step back in slow motion, and players just don't block it. I don't get it. Anyway, I think Utah, they've got good pieces, but I don't think that in tight games, especially you saw in the Denver series, in tight games, they didn't have a player other than Mitchell that they could go to, and it just hurt them. It just hurts them in close games. But I do think they're good enough to make the playoffs. 5, I've gone with the Chicken Nuggets. Now,
okay.
I don't like the Chicken Nuggets, and you're probably guessing that by the fact that I'm calling them the Chicken Nuggets. They're not a good favorite of mine. They're not in my good graces, but they're a good enough team. I think Jokic is a really good player. Jamal Murray is a really good player. They lost some key players, but in Jeremy Grant, I think that's a big loss. Torrey Craig, even though you may say he's not a fantastic player, but he defends well, and he locked up Paul George, who was atrocious. But I do think they're a good team. They're not unbelievably. I don't think they'll make the 3 seed like last year, but they're still a top seed in the West, which is much more competitive than the East. 4, I've gone Dallas. Now, this is all pending on how Kristaps comes back. Now, if Kristaps comes back and he's good, then and he's better than he was, and he ascends during the season, I do think they'll get the 4 seed. I think Luka, he's going to try and prove he's going to try and win that MVP, even though I don't think he'll win it. He could win it, and he's going to try and prove it every week. I think he'll try and get a triple-double every week. I think he'll try and score 30 every week. They're going to be a team that tries in the regular season. And teams like Houston, Denver, Brooklyn, I don't think they're going to try as hard to win regular season games as Dallas. 3 have gone Suns. Now, the Suns, it's a bit of a weird one, but I picked Monty Williams as my coach of the year. I'm going to stick with Monty Williams as my coach of the year. I think that they're a really well-constructed team. Like I said, really good pieces. Chris Paul, Mikal Bridges, Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton has looked really, really solid. I think they'll be another team that tries really hard in the regular season. And I think they'll be really solid. I don't know how they're going to be perceived as if you've put them 7 or 8, I don't know how you're going to do that, because the Chris Paul addition is night and day. Even though as I said before, I don't agree with him getting the money that he did, he's still a really good player and he helps the team. So I think he's 3 with the Suns. 2 of them, the Clippers. Now, I've watched every Clipper game. Obviously, I'm a Clipper fan. We've been hit and miss. It's not San Antonio. I just watched Patty Mills score a 3 every 2 seconds, which was fantastic. Because I'm Australian. I love Patty Mills.
On your Patty.
We've looked terrible in some games and we've looked unbelievable in others. I'm going to try and account that to a new coach and no preseason and no training camp. But Paul George has looked night and day to what he did in the bubble, which is no surprise to anyone, really, if you think about it. But I think that the Clippers will try and prove a point. I think last year, even though they got the 2nd seed, I don't think they cared about the regular season. I think they rested Kawhi and Paul George the whole time. I think they'll actually try and win a lot more games to go out and everyone's going to think they're the chokers of all chokers, but I think they're going to try and put some positive thoughts and positive momentum into the playoffs. 1, I've gone Lakers. Obviously, they lost opening night to a certain team, which was a great game. Great game, in my opinion. But no, seriously, I think the Lakers are a really good team.
Yes, they are.
They're obviously championship favorites, as much as I hate to admit it. The Montrez, you fucking bitch. Fuck you, Montrez. Can we all say a fuck you to Montrez? Oscar, say a fuck you to Montrez.
Fuck you, Montrez.
Yeah, Montrez, go fuck yourself, honestly. But they've got a really good team. Montrez, D. Schroed, off the bench is really, really solid. 2 6-man of the year candidates. Actually, no, Detroit's starting even. But they've got a really well constructed team. LeBron and AD, obviously 2 superstars. Plus, they've got a plethora of role players. And I just think that there's no really stopping them. I don't see a team that beats them in the West, actually. I think in the East, you've got a lot of teams that I think that are a lot better than last year. And I think maybe the top 4 East teams could be, 3 of them could be in that top 4 of the West teams, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
But I think the West is more, there's just more good teams in the West and there's more unbelievable teams in the East and terrible teams in the East. So I think they'll only face trouble in the finals, if I'm honest. As much as I want to say the Clippers will blitz through them and it'll be a fucking easy game, easy sweep, let's go. Clippers in 4 in the NBA finals. I don't think that's going to happen. I do think they'll meet in the Western Conference Finals, as I predicted, but I think it'll be a 6-game series to the Lakers. And yeah, I think they'll handle the West really easily because of their depth.
I mean, yeah, for sure the Lakers are going to win, no questions asked. Back to back, obviously. Let's go. All right, I'll go through my seedings now. Again, I think the teams were very similar. We just had one
Yeah,
different teams.
I think I know the team. I think I know the team.
Okay. So starting out at 8th, I had Utah at 8th.
Wow. Okay.
They're, I don't know. Like, I think they'll make it, but they just don't wow me. Like, I think Rudy Gobert is so overrated.
He's overpaid. That's what he is.
Like,
Jesus Christ.
That guy cannot do anything except dunk and block.
I mean, to be fair to him, I did watch him. He did play really well against us. Every time you go into the paint against Rudy, it's like, oh my God, we're going to get our shit blocked.
Yeah, but he has no skill. It's just he's tall. Like Donovan Mitchell, I think is a great player. I think Donovan Mitchell's a star, potential MVP candidate in the future.
In the future, yeah.
And then they got some nice players. Conley, I mean, he's not what he used to be, but he's still decent. Bogdanovich is a great player when he's on. And then Jingles and Clarkson on the bench is
can you stop?
Decent bench.
Can we stop it? Stop calling him Jingles. It's just going to piss me off. No one calls him Jingles. I don't know where
Everyone calls him Jingles.
The name Jingles.
Jingles. Everyone calls him that.
Everyone calls him Jingles. I've never heard of anyone call him Jingles.
Well,
why is he called Jingles? I get it. Oh, his first name's Joe and his last name's Ingles. Let's call him.
That's Jingles. It. You've got it. That's it. All right. So moving on from Jingles. Number 7, I had Phoenix at 7. So yeah, you had them obviously a lot higher. I think it's just a big step for them to go from like 15th every year to top 4.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Like obviously Chris Paul's going to help a lot, but he is how old is he? 36, 35? I don't know. He is old, so he's not going to be as good as he used to be. Devin Booker is basically, he's turning into that perennial all-star type player, one of the best scorers in the league. And then they got some nice pieces around them. Crowder, great shooter. Ayton has a lot of potential. So yeah, I see them making the jump to the playoffs, but I don't know if they'll be consistent enough to push further up the standings. 6th, I had Houston at 6. Again, this is just blind faith that like Harden will get you to the playoffs because they haven't looked great to start the year. But I think they have a lot of talent on the team. I love John Wall, love Boogie Cousins. Not a big fan of Harden, but he's a good player. I think if they can stay healthy, they just have enough talent to get to the playoffs. I don't see them doing much there. Similar to last year, I mean, they might beat like an average team, but they won't trouble the elite teams. At 5, I had Portland. I don't think you had Portland in the 8.
No, if I would have had the play-in, I would have put them 9, and I think they'll go against Pelicans in the 9. I think that's easily flipped for me. I think I could have put Blazers at 8 and Pelicans at 9, but I thought I'm going to put the Pelicans at 8.
So. Yeah, so I put Portland at 5 because I just think I think they'll just get it together and they'll go on a mad run because Lillard goes on these runs at certain points where I can see them winning 10 in a row.
Yeah.
McCollum is a very good scorer. Nurkic hasn't started the season well. Like, I fucking hate watching him. He's so, like, he looks like an ogre just walking around the court, just doing nothing. Like, obviously they got Melo on the bench, my guy. He's going to win him like at least 10 to 20 games.
Yeah, sure he is, yeah.
Gary Trent Jr. has looked like a nice player this year. He's come on well. Derek Jones Jr. and Robert Covington are very nice pickups. Rocco is one of the best 3-and-D players in the league, and Derek Jones Jr. is very, very athletic and is a good defender. So I think they just have a well-balanced team, and I think they'll go decent.
But do you think defensively they have the capability to get that high?
Defensively is the problem, and I think Covington and Derek Jones Jr. are good defenders. And if Nurkic can just defend a little bit.
He can't.
I know, but just a little bit, and I think they're all right. Like, I know Chuck put 100K on them to make the conference finals, right? Or
to win the championship. I'm pretty sure. I could be getting it wrong.
I think it's to win the West.
Oh, it might be to win the West. It might be.
But yeah, that's a very bold claim. I don't know if I would do that.
I mean, we don't have 100K, but I mean, we wouldn't if we did.
I mean, we will after this airs, but yeah. Okay, so number four, I put Dallas. Again, this is just if Porzingis comes back and plays well. I mean, with Luka alone, they'll probably be sort of 6th, 7th. If Porzingis plays well, I think they'll be 4th. Pretty self-explanatory. They just have a few nice role players around them. I put Denver at 3 because I just think Jokic and Murray are going to win you most games in the regular season. MPJ is looking pretty good. Obviously, my guy Paul Millsap, your favorite player.
I hate Paul Millsap.
I don't know how old he is, but he's still going all right. So,
can you believe he was an all-star one year? He was actually on an all-star.
He was all-star like 3 years.
3 times he's an all-star, but all he's managed to do is grab a shit ton of rebounds and somehow turn into prime Karl Malone in the bubble. And he didn't even do it in the first round or against the Lakers. He just happened to do it in the second half.
Turns it on when he needs it.
Fucking game against the Clippers. I watched that game 5 when we were up 18. He scored. He was just doing a bit of shimmy. It was like LeBron mixed with Michael Jordan. Just like Space Jam just went into his body, and he just all of a sudden this unbelievable play. It was scary to watch. And as much as the Clippers choked, you got to give props to Denver because at times they are unbelievable offensively. You've got Jokic who can score anywhere, Murray who can score anywhere, Michael Porter Jr., even though he's horrendous defensively, offensively, he's elite, I think. And I think he has the talent and maybe this year, maybe not this year, maybe next year, he has the talent to go into that mid-20s club. I just think that Denver, they're a bit too inconsistent for my liking defensively. I watched them in that playoffs against my team. I didn't watch any playoffs afterwards. I did. I watched the finals. I couldn't watch the conference finals for the West. I couldn't put that bearing on my eyes to see the chicken nuggets in the Western Conference Finals. But as much as I take the piss out of them, I do think they're good offensively, but defensively, losing Jeremy Grant, I think that's a big loss. Losing Jeremy Grant defensively from a wing perspective, who do they have to guard elite wings in the West? Paul Millsap? Bol. I mean, Jokic and Nurkic should be in a 100-meter race. I would pay to see Jokic and
they're breaking 20 seconds.
Jokic and Nurkic to be in a 100-meter race. I would love to see it. It would be fucking hilarious because they're the slowest players I've ever seen in my life. But I do think offensively they're great, but defensively they've lost too much defensively in the offseason, in my opinion. I don't know. We'll see.
It's fair enough. I mean, I think they'll get 3rd, but yeah, they could drop down. All right, so the top 2 teams I have leaves the 2 teams in LA. I mean, it's a bit of a mystery which order I've got them in.
Yeah, sure it is.
In second, I've gone with every girl's favorite team, the Los Angeles Chokers. So
You thought of that line before. You
no,
wrote that
that's
on your
come to
little
me on the
notepad.
spot. That's come to me on
You
the
put that
spot.
on
I
your little
swear.
notepad and
No,
just
no,
said,
no.
you know what
Wait,
would
wait.
be really funny for
It's
Zoops
not on the
today?
notepad. Check. It's not on the notepad.
It is on the notepad.
You
You
can
put it on
check
the
that.
notepad. You said, you know what will piss Zoops off the most is to write a cool little anagram, a cool little saying, and say Los Angeles Chokers.
Chokers did. Yeah, so the Chokers are obviously a very good regular season team. They're going to finish second.
Yeah.
PG and Kawhi, great players in the regular season. Especially
Why is not a
PG.
good?
Especially
You,
PG.
hang on.
Focus on regular season for the PG.
Are you insinuating that Kawhi Leonard is not a good playoff performer?
I mean, well, he choked last year, so we'll
He,
see.
he broke a playoff record for the most 30-point games in a row. What do you mean he choked in the playoffs? He had one bad game.
Wait. How many points did he have in the last half of Game
Okay,
7?
he had one game which he was
Wait,
horrendous.
was that like 2 points in one whole
Bro,
half?
I watched those games. Kawhi Leonard was unbelievable up until Game 7. Paul George and Lou Williams doesn't get enough criticism, in my opinion. I don't know what he was doing in
He's a
strip.
bench player. He's not meant to win you the game.
He was doing something in strip clubs. I don't know what he was doing, but he went from averaging like 20 points a game to 7. So
7 points. Okay. Well, yeah. So I think the Clippers will win a lot of games, but
yeah,
it's TBD how they'll actually go in the playoffs. And then at number 1, obviously the Lakers. I think with the additions of Schroeder, Montrez, even though I don't like him, he scores a lot, so sick. Marc Gasol, great passer. Wesley Matthews,
did
bit
you
of
just bring up
3-and-D.
Wesley Matthews and Marc Gasol and
Bit of
seriously
3-and-D.
say those are additions?
They are. They've been playing well.
I'm sorry. Is this 2013? Have I gone into have my brain transferred to the year 2013 where
No.
Matthews,
It's still here.
when good old Wes Math and Marc Gasol were actually good players? Marc Gasol cannot run. Another player in the 100-meter dash that I want to see.
Yeah, obviously he's breaking 25 seconds.
Wesley Matthews, has he hit a three? Has he hit a shot for you yet?
Yeah,
I don't know.
he has. He made 6 threes in one game actually.
Oh, so he does well in one game. How many games have you played? How many games have you played?
7 maybe. 8.
So 1 out of 7 games. So let's say in the playoffs, 1 out of 7 of those playoff games he'll actually play.
That's all we need.
Yeah, but the rest he'll be a detriment to your team.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Look,
LeBron and AD are going to do everything. As long as everyone else does something, we'll be number 1. I mean, even we have a good enough team now that even if one of them sits out, we'll win 80% of games. So yeah, I think number 1 seed, easy ring, probably sweep every series.
yeah.
So yeah, see you in 2022 when LeBron's a bit older and you might have a chance.
Yeah. No, I love how ESPN keeps on spinning this useless wheel. Oh, Kawhi's leaving in free agency. Yeah, sure he is, love. Sure he is. He's leaving in free agency this year to go to.
If you get bounced in the second round, he is out.
Where is he going?
Just fucking anywhere. Just get him out.
Who can afford him? The Lakers can't. The Bucks can't.
He's going to Charlotte.
Let's look at the top 4 teams. Can the Lakers afford him? No. Can Dallas afford him? No. Can Boston afford him? No. Can Philadelphia afford him? No. Can the Bucks afford him? No. Can Brooklyn afford him? No. There's no good teams that he would want to go to that can afford his contract. I personally think that there is nowhere that he could go other than the Lakers. He wanted his whole life to play in Los Angeles. I don't think he'd give that up for a minimum contract. So I think he's staying, and as much as I hated what happened last year, it wasn't a 1-year plan. We didn't sign these guys to 1-year contracts. This is
but you were the favourites to win it though.
Yes, I know. We had a great opportunity to win it and we didn't. But it still doesn't mean it's over. It doesn't mean, okay, blow it up now. You gave up your entire future, but blow it up. I still think this is a good team. I still think we're contenders. But I have zero faith. Absolutely zero faith that we can win. Because, as my eyes, I've seen us choke to the Rockets, choke to so many teams. I mean, the Rockets one was worse, to be honest. I remember in school, we were up, I think it was game 6, up 20 in the fourth quarter. They went on to have a 44-point to, I think it was 11 or 13 fourth quarter, beat us by 10. And I mean, it was the worst quarter of my life, and we could have made the conference finals. But in all honesty, I think, like I said before, the Lakers far and clear the best team in the NBA. Far and clear. I mean,
Yeah.
I just don't think, especially in the West, they can be competed. And now, I do think Brooklyn could compete with them. I do think that Brooklyn has a chance
Mm,
to beat them because they can match them offensively. Now, defensively, you're going to have players like Damari Carroll, Jared Allen step up in those games, especially in the finals and the playoffs. But I just don't think the West, other than the Clippers, can really give them a fight.
no, I think they're just fucking. It's GG. It's a wrap.
Is it
Everyone's
GG?
playing for
I don't
second.
think it's. I don't think. I didn't quite say it was GG. I don't think every NBA team should be like, you know what, pack it up. Let's just go home. What's the point? What's the point?
Well, you
But
may as well try, but you're not gonna win.
well, yeah, hopefully.
All right. Well, that wraps up the seeding predictions. So see you all guys next time. Peace out, nerds.